Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. I am Kevin Mullen. I'm the president-elect for Toledo Rotary, and I'm honored to fill in for President Travis while he is on a much-deserved vacation. Before we officially start our meeting, I want to give you guys a few minutes to introduce yourselves to the other members at your table. Let's make sure we all know each other. So take a few minutes and meet the folks at your table. All right, now let's try and bring it all back. At this time, I'm going to ask past President Chuck Mann to come to the podium to deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. Patty was driving down the street in a sweat because he had an important meeting and he couldn't find a parking place. Looking up to heaven, he said, "Lord, take pity on me. If you find me a parking place, I will go to Mass every Sunday for the rest of me life. I'll donate half my earnings to the church, and I'll give up me Irish whiskey." Miraculously, a parking space appeared. Patty looked up again and said, "Never mind, I found one." This is usually called the Irish blessing. A lot of you may know this, so if you know this, join in. May the road rise up to meet you. May the sun be always at your back. May the sunshine warm upon your face and rains fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Chuck, do you think that I could get my notes back? Just, they would look like the script that you walked off with. There it is. That's it. Nailed it. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. He showed them to me. That was great. Growing up as an Irish Catholic, we would always add to the end of that, may God hold you in the palm of his hand and not clap. So it was a real rebel rouser as a child. I had the dad jokes down real early. I'm an aspiring Chuck Mann. As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Hartman Bogan Financial as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Donna Bogan. Donna, thank you very much. Does anyone have any guests that they would like to introduce? Please come forward, bring your guests to a mic so everyone can clearly hear and see you and your guest. The microphone is in the middle of the room today.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's really small. President-elect Kevin. I'd like to introduce Kevin Milliken with Lucas County Children's Services as our PIO as my guest today.
Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, everybody. I'm the other Kevin, as Kevin and I have joked over many years since having worked together back in our TV days.
So Milliken and Mullen. Let's just keep that clear.
Before you both got old enough that it was a face made for radio.
Wait, he's talking about me. That's not nice.
Hi, I am Becca from F&M Bank in our downtown Toledo location. I'd like to welcome Karen. I can't say your last name. Please say it.
It's Raleigh.
Sorry. Relier. She is our new home lending officer joining us in our Toledo downtown location.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Glad to be there and here. Thank you.
All right. Any other guests? Any visiting Rotarians today? I don't know that I saw any coming in. All the way in the back. All right. You want to come introduce yourself, please?
Sorry, we're so used to doing it from the table. I'm Alyssa Hunt with Reynolds Corners Rotary Club.
Listen, thank you for being here.
And I am Jennifer Rayum. I'm also with Reynolds Corners Rotary.
Awesome. Thank you. It is rare to have folks from Reynolds Corners come here. I think it is way more common for folks from Toledo to go to Schmuckers to be able to make up their meeting at Reynolds Corners. So we're excited you guys are here. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to invite Brian Reed to the program for a quick update on April's Camp Day event. And I'm taking my script with me.
All right, thank you, President-elect Kevin, and hello, all fellow Rotarians and guests. On behalf of the Disability Services Committee, I'm here today just to give you an update on one of our community outreach projects. Many of you know that every year the Rotary Club of Toledo hosts 2 field trip days for the students at Glendale Fieldbach School. Last October, we hosted Zoo Day, and then coming up next month in April, we'll be hosting Camp Day. It's going to be Tuesday, April 23rd at Camp Miaconda. But as we have a lot of newer members and guests, and perhaps some older members, may not really know the history and the connection between our club and this school, so I thought I would indulge you for a minute and share a little bit of that history. So going back, the story goes back to 1917, when a member of the District Nurse Association asked, at that time, Rotary President Charles Fieldbach to help build a school for disabled children. Now keep in mind, Charles Fieldbach was one of the 4 founding members of the Rotary Club that was founded just 5 years prior to that. So a very young club. Mr. Fieldbach agreed, and the school was built in downtown Toledo initially and opened in 1917 with 8 students. Sorry that I have to read my notes, but I wasn't around then. So every day in those early years, Rotary member Will Standert visited the school every day. When it was a student's birthday, he gave them a silver pencil. Every month, the Rotary Club gave that school $1,000. Clothes and other supplies were also given to the school from the Rotary Club. When they had trips and plays and other activities, the Rotary Club could always be counted on to provide assistance for those activities. Over the years, the school has grown and moved locations. And today, the Glendale Fieldbach School is located in South Toledo and continues to thrive, improving the quality of lives of children of every ability. So now is where you come in as Rotarians. We're looking for as many Toledo Rotarians as we can get to help us on Tuesday, April 23rd. Your job will really be to just be a buddy, chaperone with these students as we move around to different stations for different games and different activities for the day. It'll start roughly 9:30-ish when they arrive, and we'll carry on through lunch and a little bit beyond lunch. We also count heavily on 50 to 70 students from St. Francis High School. They come out, and these boys really enjoy, being a part of this and helping out and developing relationships. And many times, if they had a kid at camp day, then they have that same kid at zoo day, and they kind of build that bond, and it's really cool to see. We've also reached out to the Interact Club at St. Ursula, as those students there have also expressed an interest in helping on these. So there's a QR code here. You can also volunteer through by signing up, through the website, the Rotary website. But if all else fails, you can reach out to me or Jackie, and we would love to see you out there. Again, Tuesday, April 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the work that you and your committee are doing. I realized as the lights were changing a little bit, I wanted to just take a moment and thank our team for helping sort of make this new location happen. The setup that happens on a normal Monday is a lot of work, and Dominic and Zach do a wonderful job, but to move that into a new location and be ready to go for us, certainly appreciate all the work that the staff here at the Glass City Center and also Dominic, Zach, and Jackie to make this new location happen. So we can give them a round of applause. Thank you. And now please join me in welcoming Shanda Gore, President and CEO of Mays & Associates, to the podium to introduce new member Tim Meyer.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. There you are. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Timothy Meyer. Tim is the area general manager for First Hospitality, overseeing and managing both the beautiful Marriott Renaissance Toledo Downtown Hotel and the wonderful Hilton Garden Inn Toledo Downtown. Tim was born in New Orleans and has held positions in hotels from LA to New York City. Over the course of traveling and running hotels for more than 30 years across the country, he met his lovely wife, Molly Ketchum, in Cleveland, Ohio, marrying and blending their families in 2018 with 2 daughters, a son, and 2 grandsons. Their son will be off to college next year, and Tim is ready to call Toledo home. And we welcome you and Molly and the whole family. He has been in our area since May of 2023, coming from successfully leading efforts in the Cleveland area. He enjoys cycling and dining outdoors, although today may not be the best for that. He says he truly appreciates what Toledo has to offer and hopes to work collaboratively with increasing tourism in our downtown with a strong desire to be involved with our local community. Please help me welcome someone who is welcoming others to our great downtown area, Mr. Tim Meyer.
Thanks, Dr. Gore. I appreciate it. It was not planned that I wore the same jacket that was in the picture, but it's kind of worked out that way today. Again, really excited to be in Toledo. I do have to share a short story. My first day taking the job was the first day I'd seen Toledo. I'd never been here before. And the drive up down Summit was so impressive. I fell in love that day and literally called my wife and said, you got to get here quick. Amazing city that you have, and I'm really delighted to be here. Through the first couple of months, I did everything I could to reach out to people in the community, including Kevin and Dr. Gore, and they all told me about Rotary. And so I knew it was really important that I get here. It's taken me a couple of months to get to the introduction, but looking forward to being very active in the community and doing everything that I can to partner with Destination to Toledo to drive our tourism market up in the city. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. For me, you measure the spring season by the start of Mud Hens baseball and the chance when it's officially comfortable to grab a drink out on the Renaissance up at the Heights and overlooked downtown. So we're almost there. We're almost there. It's a 2-for-1 kind of day, folks. So we've got 2 new member introductions. So I'm pleased to welcome Kelly Trame from Girl Scouts of Western Ohio to the podium to introduce new member Kelly Mofield.
I am so excited to welcome Kelly Mofield to our Rotary Club. She grew up in Northwest Ohio, has worked in many nonprofits for most of her career, including Sunshine, the Art Museum, Chamber of Commerce in Wasion, and several others throughout our region. Now she's the executive director of the Kidney Foundation of Northwest Ohio and lives in Perrysburg with her husband, Brian. She has 4 grown children, 4 grandchildren, and I love this, a neurotic cockapoo named Monty. Cannot wait to hear more stories about that. And I love this pet peeve. It's people who get their news from memes. So Kelly, welcome to Rotary.
I would just like to thank Kelly as well as Brian Reed for sponsoring me into Rotary. I knew when I moved back to Toledo that it was important for me to get involved in Rotary because of all the great work that you're doing and all the connections that I can make on behalf of the Kidney Foundation of Northwest Ohio. I will tell you that I moved away from Toledo for 7 years, spent 4 years in Dayton, 4 years in Lima, and I could not be more thrilled to be back in Toledo and see all the progress and all the great things that are happening in this community that I love so much. So thank you very much.
Welcome to Rotary. All right, I'm going to attempt to use the clicker here. We'll see if it works. This past weekend, I had the privilege of attending All Ohio Pets. Maybe. I did have the privilege. There we go. I don't know if that was me or Dominic. When I told my daughter I was going to pets training, she was pretty upset when I didn't come home with a kitten. So I was like, sorry, not these kind of pets. Nonetheless, the President-elect training seminar brought the presidents-elects from across the state to do what Rotary does: connect, exchange ideas, and get ready to take action during our year serving as the president of our respective Rotary clubs. We also had an opportunity to hear from RI President-elect Stephanie Urchik and learn more about her theme for 2024-25, the magic of Rotary. So what did I learn? We have a lot to be proud of as Rotarians, and we have a lot to be proud of as Toledo Rotarians. Our club is one of few across our district and across the state to be growing, and Rotaract, sponsored by our club, was a shining star throughout the conference as Alex Huffaker, incoming president for Rotaract Club of Toledo, became what we believe is the first Rotaract PE to attend PETS training. Throughout the weekend, I had many great discussions with other incoming presidents and have walked away with a lot of great ideas for all of us to put into action next year. I also walked away reminded that Toledo Rotary, because of the hard work of our committee chairs, our board of directors, and frankly, every single person in the room today, continues to be a shining example for the clubs across Ohio. Now, with that also comes an incredible responsibility. I believe strongly that a rising tide raises all ships. And so as we head into the new Rotary year, I hope we'll be able to collaborate with the clubs across the state, but more specifically the clubs right here in Northwest Ohio, to lift up our region. There's Alex and myself with RI incoming president Stephanie Urchik and a handful of other folks from District 6600. And we're going to work together to lift up our region and make Rotary's vision a reality, because together, people create change. I certainly appreciate the club making that a priority and sponsoring me attending that. Actually, our district sponsors that for all the incoming presidents, and it's my hope that our district will continue to support the Rotaract presidents coming into that as well. All right, let's get to today's program. It's my pleasure to introduce the CEO of Imagination Station, Lori Hauser, to introduce today's guest speaker, Jason Kucsma.
good morning or afternoon. When Jason called, it was an honor to get the call to ask me to introduce him. And then I called all of our friends to get as much dirt on him as I could for today. I've had the luxury of knowing Jason almost 10 years now through many different partnerships and sharing. We are both co-chairs of the Toledo Area Cultural Leaders. He talked me into it. If he was going to do it, I said I would do it with him. And then we both are directors and leading educational resource attractions and facilities in Toledo. And so we've done a lot together. And then when COVID hit, everybody's having Zoom meetings, right? And we were meeting a lot about Solheim, but also about the cultural leaders and how we were all responding, how we were operating and everything. And then there was a small group that developed after that of people that we all worked together, we knew each other, and we developed this deeper friendship because then it was cocktails at 4, 5, hikes, walks, and really being honest and sharing with each other. And that's something that I treasure, that friendship that I was able to develop with Jason through that. Some quick facts about him, though, is he's got 20 years of leadership experience in libraries. He's got a decade of nonprofit, independent media and publishing experiences. Of course, he's an Ohio guy. He's got his master's from Bowling Green State University. And you've seen the success that he's done with the library and leading that. He's focused on seeing that resource, focus on technology and growth and what's next in this next 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years to see it actually grow. But when I look at the library by numbers, that what he's responsible for, he's got 20 different branches. I operate one building, let alone 20 different facilities, over 400 team members, 2 million visitors through the library systems annually, and then like 300,000 plus library card holders, and that's growing all the time. He's also a National Medal Award winner, which is very proud for him, for the library, for the community to have that done. He is a librarian. He's a Rotarian. He's a collaborator. He let the Science Center come over and do a library takeover. We did the Nerdy Derby. I did win our competition, just so everybody knows. I have a photo showing that I won. He's very technology focused and shares with me all of the new apps and things that I can do to take notes and change those. He's an educator. He's an advocate. He's a volunteer. He's an amazing dad. He's also a music lover. He's an adventurer. He told me he was taking his twins camping. And I'm like, camping? In a small camper? Are you sure, Jason? I think the camper's for sale. No? Is that true? Yeah. It's sold. Sorry, sold. Okay. And he's a trusted friend and leader. Lucas County is very lucky to have the library system that we do, and this resource that's focusing on growing. We're also very lucky to have a leader like Jason. And I treasure his experience, his advice, the way I'm watching him guide us. I got a call from him, and he asked me to become a board trustee. So it is a pleasure to work alongside him now in a different capacity and see him with his team in that regard. And it was a big honor for him to even ask me to be a part of that. So I was very gracious. And he's dedicated to the role that public libraries play in our community. And I believe he believes that the role that libraries play is making our community only stronger. And he's going to do that, and you'll see how we are growing. And that's all with his leadership and the team that he's been able to encourage and see foster under him. So please give a big warm welcome to Jason Kucsma.
Thank you so much, Lori. I promised I wouldn't do this to her anymore, but it's interesting when your friend then becomes one of your bosses. But we're really glad to have Lori on the board as a library trustee. We didn't do this during introductions, but we do have a number of folks here from the library that's our guests. Kathy Salking, our Director of Development and Affinity Events, brought some folks from her department. Jenny Barlos is here, and Cassidy Hanthorne from that department as well. You want to raise your hands, maybe, say hello. And then, of course, Lucas Camuso Stahl is also here. He's our Director of Government Relations and Advocacy. He's joining us, too. So, Thank you for this. Yes, please. Within these walls is found the wisdom and culture of the ages. These words are carved prominently on the side of the main library. There are many quotes etched around the building. Many of them are my favorites for different reasons, but this one is especially important to me. It's etched right outside my office at the northeast corner of the main library. Much has changed in the library's 186-year history here in Lucas County. We've had different staff, different directors, different ways that we've delivered information to the community. And despite each decade bringing us new innovations, one component of the library services has remained the same. And it's a piece of the aforementioned quote that I mentioned that you may have overlooked within these walls. There's something magical about libraries and the four walls within which we exist. I'm biased, but I think the idea that our community members have a place to gather and to learn, a place where all the materials in a given branch are yours to use, a place that requires no sign-in sheet, no fees, no proof of identification to cross the threshold, I think is still a pretty revolutionary idea. And it's an idea that public libraries are bringing to life each and every day. But great public infrastructure, like libraries, isn't built overnight. In our community, it took over a century of strong leadership and, most importantly, dedicated Toledoans and Lucas County residents who believed in having public libraries mattered and that believe that it matters today. The origins of our public library system are intertwined with our city's founding. Toledo was officially incorporated into the state of Ohio in 1837. Fun fact, I share a birthday with our fair city, so next time you're raising a glass on January 7th, you can do that for both of us Capricorns. In 1838, just 1 year later, the Toledo Young Men's Association created a subscription social library right here in downtown on Summit Street. Over the years, the Toledo Young Men's Association merged then with the Toledo Library Association. And at this time, there was even a Toledo Mechanics subscription library that had popped up and disappeared during that period as well. But in 1873, these library members all merged and morphed into something called the Public Library of the City of Toledo. And you have to remember, at this time, this was during a time when canals and railways dominated transportation in the city. Toledo was just starting to build itself. And even in these early years, the people created and designed spaces for the public library that all could visit. So just a few months after the official opening of the Public Library of the City of Toledo, the financial panic of 1873 struck the nation, leading to corporate bankruptcy, mass unemployment, and the impact of this financial crisis was felt in our area for nearly a decade. Over this time, the newly created library and its budget struggled mightily. When the library faced cuts to its book budget, the people of Toledo came together and bought 341 books in 1878 to sustain the collection. And by 1885, that collection had grown to 20,000 items to browse. And for me, this really is a powerful testament to the value Toledoans have long placed on having access to a public library. In a time when we could have easily let this new idea stumble or fall, the people of our city worked together to have these four walls, the public library, operational, accessible, and with a robust collection for everyone in the community. But Toledo and Lucas County's love of public libraries branches did not stop there. In 1916, Andrew Carnegie, the patron saint of public libraries, allocated $125,000 to build 5 branches in Toledo. That equates to about $3.5 million today. And if I could build a branch for $3.5 million, that would be great, let alone 5 of them. It's amazing. So Carnegie said that, and this is another quote that's on the side of the building at Main Library, that public library outranks any other one thing that a community can do to help its people. He was one of the most revered philanthropists, and he could have easily given his money to any other American institution, but he firmly believed that public libraries and the physical infrastructure that libraries offer the community were a sound and worthwhile investment in helping moving our society forward. In 1930, the ripple effects of the Great Depression had reached Toledo. Library branch hours and staff were reduced, but no branches were closed. And in 1933, the library changed its book limit lending policy from 4 to 10 copies, per patron due to the mass unemployment and the extra reading folks were doing. And at this time, Main Library's newspaper reading room was teeming with people just trying to better understand what exactly is happening in the world outside of Toledo. By 1838, let's see if there we go. By 1838, ground was broken on the current main library we have on Michigan Street. 1 year later, World War II broke out. So say what you will about Toledo, but we have impeccable timing. Development still moved forward in a world at war, with much of Main Library's construction being funded by the Works Progress Administration. And libraries were not just necessarily a place for the communities to gather at this point, but now they became places for people to work. Main Library is adorned with the original breathtaking Art Deco designs that we meticulously preserve and care for. In 1955, at the height of the baby boom, our library added 1 million books for children to our collection, which was at about 58% of the total collection at this time. And so as the nuclear family grew, as the middle class grew, public libraries became true third spaces between work and home for community members. In the 1980s, information was no longer just confined to the pages of a book or magazines or newspapers. Let's see, we're still not flashing. There we go. Okay. And in 1986, the library opened one of the first microcomputer laboratories in the nation. By the mid-1990s, we were offering reliable access to this newfangled thing called the internet, which dramatically changed the way we get information and access information. And individuals then were no longer just connecting with one another or other community members in the library, but they were connecting with family, friends all over the country and all over the world. So you skip ahead to 2010, just a few years later, after the 2008 Great Recession, the library received a major broadband technology opportunities grant from the federal government to train community members on how to use this new tech in state-of-the-art computer labs. And the goal there was to create or to strengthen local economies by teaching emerging skills and bridging that digital divide in Lucas County. So rather than being left behind in this tech revolution, folks were building 21st century skills with one another, side by side, right in the public library. So now that we're nearly caught up to the historical presence of the library in Lucas County, I want to take a break and just kind of unpack where we are now and where we're headed. This August marks the 5th anniversary of my appointment as director of Toledo Lucas County Public Library. It's been incredibly humbling and honoring to be in this role. It's also inconceivable in some sense that given all that we've dealt with in the last 5 years, from February 2019, fellow Rotarian and late Mr. Scholes dying unexpectedly at the library, in the library fittingly, to COVID-19, to a cybersecurity attack in 2021, to today when we're seeing nationwide attacks on public libraries by a small percentage of well-organized groups of folks who want to revoke our independent ability to choose what we can and cannot read. So I'm incredibly proud of how our staff and how our physical branch presence in Lucas County neighborhoods has been an unwavering constant throughout a lot of this hardship. Our presence and our services have proven essential to our neighborhood's well-being. As it was for many of you, COVID-19 and the pandemic, we're still feeling the impact of that. It was one of the greatest challenges for us. And during a time of separation, isolation, public libraries, we thrive on communities being together, being with one another, being in a place together. And so we were asking ourselves, how will we survive this transition? So in true Toledo and Lucas County fashion, we found a way. Like many leaders in this room, we spent a few weeks kind of regrouping in the early days of the pandemic and adapted quickly to continue providing services to our community. We implemented grab-and-go services for people to take books and activities home. We launched online story times. We moved programs online virtually, and we boosted our Wi-Fi capacity out past our property limits, so to help families with online schooling, applying for jobs, social services, or to remain employed for those jobs that had transitioned to remote work. And the library as a library leadership team, we worked with our staff and the stewards of both of our unions, again, to continue to adapt to that changing landscape, which seemed to shift on a daily basis. But an ever-present question for us as a leadership team was, how can we be helpful in a truly meaningful way and offer services that our neighbors need right now. We knew that 29,000 households in our community lacked broadband access at home, and another 21,000 households lacked smart technology at home. So shortly after closing briefly, we reopened our doors to provide access to more than 600 public computers throughout the county, and we loaned our fleet of vehicles to the Emergency Operations Center to move supplies and resources around the county. And we also gave out 320,000 COVID-19 test kits, serving as a critical distribution point for the local and state partners that we were working with. So even in this confusing time, we knew that kids still needed to learn, adults still wanted to be connected, and if we could offer Zoom access or move our book clubs online, host virtual reading programs, we did all of the above. So a common question that us library directors have for each other when we're running into each other at conferences or at meetings is, how's your door count doing? The implication here is, has your community come back to the library? Are your neighbors returning to those physical spaces? Other metro libraries are seeing about climbing just over 50% of their pre-pandemic attendance. However, I'm proud to say that Toledo Lucas County Public Library is over 80% of its pre-2020 capacity, showing that libraries in our neighborhoods are still an important destination for individuals and families alike. And since 2020, room reservations have increased. Last year, we saw 12,334 reservations in our branches. Program attendance has increased with over 104,000 community members attending programs. Circulation's up by 67%. When we were able to, as a community, people came right back to the library to enjoy our spaces. So just like in 1873, when we felt uncertainty, when we felt uncertain, our community came in droves to support the public library and really recognized the inherent value that library's physical presence plays in our neighborhoods. I don't want to spend, and I frankly don't think you want to hear me talk anymore about the pandemic, but I really think it's useful to think about that current context within which we work. And it's also a chance for me to humbly brag about the hundreds of staff members at Toledo Lucas County Public Library who recognize the importance of the work that they were doing, and they did just that, and they do just that every day. Just a few weeks ago, I was mailed a letter from a community member who was just really blown away by the care and attentiveness he had received from a staff member at the library in helping him. Maybe care and attentiveness that he doesn't see from other folks in the community. And these are the kind of continuous reminders that our spaces and services offer community members the places and services that they deserve as individuals. So in January 2021, the library's executive leadership team came out with a bold new strategic roadmap and a 5-year vision to be the first place people turn to when they want to broaden their horizons or connect with one another. We know it's not possible or even desirable for us to be everything to everyone, but our roadmap gives us a really discrete set of strategic priorities that play to our strengths. And I shared most of these with you in 2021 at Toledo Club, so I won't belabor them other than to say that 5 of the 6 strategic priorities allow us to really focus on what we do best: helping kids learn to read, helping students be successful, helping adults broaden their horizons, and priorities 4 and 5 are providing access to technology and the skills and training that people need to use it. That remaining strategic priority for us ties directly to the theme today, that the library can and should serve as the go-to community connector and hub. Note, again, that doesn't call on us to be everything to everyone, but rather to be a place where many people's needs are met, whether it's through library materials or programs or a community partner utilizing our countywide infrastructure to meet individuals where they are in their neighborhoods. In 2022, the nation's report card showed a 5-point reading comprehension drop among 9-year-olds. This is the most drastic drop that we've seen since 1990. And these troubling results are actually in addition to the summer slide or summer setback, which indicates a loss in reading comprehension over a summer break if your reading skills are not exercised. So in 2023, we enrolled nearly 10,000 kids and teens in summer reading competitions and leveraged partnership with TutorSmart to offer in-branch one-to-one training to help students catch up or level up. Our Ready to Read team went out, that's the early childhood literacy team. They went out to 335 locations last year to meet families at laundromats, at stores, at events. My favorite place to find them is in the toy section at Walmart, because parents are there, and it's a good place. It's a good place for our staff to sit down and talk to them about the importance of talking, singing, reading, writing, and playing, the core fundamentals of early childhood literacy for our kids. In those visits last year, they reached 6,000 adults and 4,000 kids, and since that program started in 2012, 2013, they've reached 30,000 adults and 25,000 kids. And I stress this because this work is, it's so important because one fact remains true. If our children are not literate, our economic future will not be very strong. To it this summer, I hope that you will join me in championing the Summer Read as we celebrate our 100-year anniversary of Summer Read. So our neighbors face great barriers to basic health and human services resources in communities across Lucas County. However, our branches offer critical infrastructure to our partners who, as I just mentioned, utilize our spaces to meet individuals where they are, which luckily for us is often at the library. So where healthcare is lacking, Mercy Health community nurses are visiting our locations for providing free basic health screenings. Where immunizations are tough to come by, Toledo Lucas County Health Department is offering shots for tots and teens to keep kids healthy. When legal help becomes far too expensive, our Ohio Justice Bus parks in our lots and offers free advice and time to talk with an attorney. And altogether, we have 20 partners using 20 locations for outreach and direct assistance and providing services to community members, anyone who needs help. And I'm especially proud of two partnerships that help kids and adults alike meet their most basic needs, food. Each year, Connecting Kids to Meals distributes nearly 1 million meals to kids under the age of 18, and our public library offers 14 locations to provide those services to our community. Additionally, in 2022, Same Cafe opened at Main Library. Same stands for So All May Eat. And this Pay It Forward cafe model is a true reflection of the library experience. You can get a delicious, nutritious meal regardless of who you are, where you came from, what you have or don't have, much in the same way that you're always welcome at the library under those same circumstances. Since opening, Same Cafe has served over 27,000 meals. And has shown great success in this partnership with the public library. Right now, they're serving more meals per day than the flagship restaurant is in Texas or in Colorado. Now, the work that we've done and the work of our partners has really been so successful because public libraries are trusted epicenters of the community. Despite all those formal partnerships that I mentioned, we'd be here all day if I began listing all the great community-centered organizations, government entities that are using our computer labs, that are using our meeting rooms, our study rooms to do direct outreach. And I want to emphasize the one word, which is trust. According to 2021-2022 percent change poll by Gallup, Americans' confidence in U.S. institutions like medical systems, religious organizations, schools, news entities, financial firms, and government continues to hit new lows. But time and time again, libraries prove to be places that offer common and safe ground to all people. These handful of examples were a major factor in, as Ms. Hauser mentioned, in the library being awarded the 2023 National Medal Award from the Institute for Museum and Library Services. This is the highest honor a library can receive at the national level, and we were one of just 4 libraries to receive this in 2023. Since our founding in the late 1800s, our countywide system has grown, merged, and grown again. And today we stand strong at 20 locations and plus mobile services with 2 million visits per year, over 5 million physical items circulating throughout the county, and millions of digital items, audiobooks, magazines, ebooks to our community. So despite our community's historical hardships, be it wars, pandemics, disasters, financial crises, public libraries were built, public libraries were invested in, meaning that there were spaces for people that were created, leading to places where children and teens and adults could gather to connect socially, to mentally grow, to emotionally feel a sense of belonging, and ultimately, isn't that at the heart of what it means to build a strong community? I believe that that a community says a lot about itself through its public libraries. In Lucas County, our safe, well-kept, modern, and innovative library branches are ones that we can and should be incredibly proud of, which is why I always have to mention the National Medal Award at least twice whenever I'm out in public. So, we did not bring the photo of me at the White House, which is an unbelievable experience, but we'll share that. As we look to the future of the library, we have begun to talk more about place and what it means, both literally and symbolically. The library is a literal place for community members to come together and learn, no doubt. And we can measure, just as you heard me outline a moment ago, how we quantify community members using our spaces and how they're utilizing the library materials or services. But what I'm especially interested in are the immeasurable interactions that happen in library spaces. A parent who didn't know where to turn for help goes to the library's early literacy classes and now feels more confident sending their kid to kindergarten as a stronger reader. An entrepreneur signs up for one of our small business classes, refines their idea with colleagues, and now has a full-scale business that their family is depending on. Or a new American stops into one of our cooking classes and makes new friends in a new country. And this is what I mean when I say that the library is a symbol of place, where we can find belonging, help, and connection with our neighbors. And I think it's more important than ever because we're battling a new epidemic, an epidemic that is crippling both physically and figuratively. It's as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day and more damaging than consuming 6 alcoholic drinks a day, according to a report last year from the Surgeon General. That epidemic is loneliness. It's linked to higher risks for heart disease, blood pressure, anxiety, Alzheimer's disease, and a host of other comorbidities. But as my colleague, Hallie Rich, the editor of Library Journal in Cleveland, states, it's not just the risks to individual health that make loneliness so dangerous. It is destructive at the community level as well. And the Surgeon General concurs, saying that when we are less invested in one another, we are more susceptible to polarization and less able to pull together to face the challenges that we cannot solve alone, from climate change to gun violence to economic inequality to future pandemics. Enter the library, where millions of neighbors darken our door each year. Enter the library where more than 100,000 people attended library programs in 2023. Those programs ranged from literacy-based story times for our littlest readers to teacher resource days to one of the many book clubs we offer across the community, grant writing classes, technology help, our popular Better Toledo series that happens every other Thursday in the afternoons for professionals, visiting author events, large community events such as our Imagination Station or Metro Parks or Ability Center takeovers of Main Library. People yearn for connection, and the library provides those opportunities. We can break down those barriers of isolation in our local branches, and Toledo-Lucas County residents have worked hard to build them, to preserve them, and to keep them for generations to come. You can find connection at the library. That sense of community is waiting for you. It's waiting for me. It's waiting for all of us within those 4 walls. I want to thank Toledo Rotary for having me today, and thank you all for your attention. Appreciate it.
Jason, thank you very much. Hang on, don't go anywhere. We've got a few minutes, so we got about 8 minutes left in our meeting. That's probably time for, about 3 or 4 good questions or 1 really bad one. Let's not have the bad one. All right, so please head to the floor mic. If you have questions, again, in the interest of time, I just ask that we keep the questions direct. Thank you.
As wonderful as your physical assets are in the library, as an avid e-reader, I'm a big user of your electronic access, Libby and all the other great things you can find on your website. Could you speak a little bit about how that's expanded the outreach and the ability to impact the community?
Sure, yeah, so digital resources have been, we've seen digital use of the public library skyrocket through the pandemic, and it continues to grow. We continue to offer more streaming television shows, movies, other resources that people can put on their smart TVs that you can access with just your public library card. I think the biggest thing that a lot of folks don't necessarily recognize in the room here is that it's incredibly expensive. And so we have to spend a lot of time making sure we're being good fiscal stewards of public dollars and purchasing these titles. When we buy physical books, we buy a book and we loan it until it's worn out and we have to retire it. But with digital titles, we have to lease those titles, and they get a certain amount of checkouts, and then we have to lease them again. So it's an interesting dynamic, but it's something, frankly, the digital books, audiobooks, it's brought me back to reading. As a father of 10-year-old twins, I don't have a lot of time or patience to sit down and read with my eyeballs, but I'm reading a couple of audiobooks a week in a way that I've never done before. So, thank you. That's a good question.
I've had a concept of lifelong learning as a philosophy, and the library certainly provides that. And consequently, I've been very much involved in libraries on the State Library Council, and also been the president of a suburban library system here for many years. And the two questions I'm asked the most, I'd like to ask you, because I think a lot of folks don't have a real understanding about these things. One of them, first of all, is what types of libraries are they, and how are their governance handled? And the next question is, how are the libraries funded? Obviously, we fund them, but
Sure.
Maybe you could explain that.
You've given me the opportunity to tell something that I tell everyone when I have a chance, a captive audience, that Ohio Public Libraries are the gold standard for public libraries in the country. And we go across the country and people tell us, oh, here comes Ohio and the Ohio Public Libraries. And it's not an accident. It's because we have statewide funding called the Public Library Fund. So a percentage of receipts that come into the state are then distributed to 251 library systems throughout the county or throughout the state. And we are also supported by local property taxes. So that statewide support and local support is immeasurable. I mean, in a lot of ways, and it's one of the reasons we're the gold standard. And I don't know, you asked about governance. We have a board of trustees. They're appointed by the Court of Common Pleas and county commissioners. Lori is one of those that was recently appointed, and we have 7 of them, and they serve 7-year terms.
Jason, thanks for what you and your team have done to run this great engine for good and enhance the engine while it's running. It's pretty amazing. My question is, in terms of it's a Lucas County Public Library system, who can get a card? So if somebody lives elsewhere but they work in Toledo, are they eligible? What's the eligibility for somebody getting a library card?
I was just telling a dental hygienist this the other day because she works in Lucas County, but she lives in Blissfield, and avid reader. We were talking about our favorite books, what we read. She had apparently read some of these obscure mysteries that I had recently read as well. Anybody who works in Lucas County can get a library card. And for folks that do not work in Lucas County but live elsewhere and work elsewhere, there's a small fee for people to get a card. If you live in Michigan, that is. In Ohio, because we have that statewide funding, you can get a card anywhere in Ohio. And so I think if you live in Cleveland, you can have a Toledo Lucas County Public Library card. If that's helpful. And that's one of the great reasons, one of the benefits of us having strong statewide support.
Kevin's looking at his watch.
Yeah,
Hi.
He's giving me the hook over here.
I know. So you said 5 million books, right? Like throughout. How do you figure out what books to get? Like, there's so many books in this world and so many authors, and how does that get figured out?
Yeah, we have an incredible team of librarians. A lot of folks may or may not realize that librarians have to have a master's degree in library science to do that work as a librarian. And so, they have skills that are beyond my knowledge and expertise around how they choose books. It's reading reviews, it's seeing what's popular, choosing those books, understanding the community too. And I think knowing what is requested in our community, what our people want to read, is through constant conversations with our community. Additionally, we offer a concierge service where you can send a number of titles that you've liked recently to our librarians, and they'll, I liken it to real AI. So you send them a bunch of titles, and they'll send you back a number of other titles you might actually want to read as well.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Any cool parties going to happen on the library roof anytime soon? You should do it. It's amazing.
I'm sure we'll have some people on the rooftop on April 8th, right? Yes.
Jason, thank you for your presentation about our award-winning library. You brought up AI just moments ago. How is AI going to be incorporated, or will it be incorporated in your technology teachings to keep the workforce going? And then secondarily, how do you see AI dealing with the publishing area to choose those books that
Right.
you just mentioned?
Yeah, it is certainly a technological tidal wave for us to all sort of figure out. I think, from a process standpoint, we're using AI where we can to help improve processes, business processes. But I think, the publishing industry has got its work cut out for them to figure out how to weed out garbage AI titles versus, ones that are written by actual people. And it's going to be a constant battle. I think ultimately for us, it's the same work that we've always done at the library, which is helping people become familiar with technology and understand how to use it best, and understand where the pitfalls are. We're not going to necessarily teach people to be experts in AI, but we can help them understand what an AI-produced content looks like, or how to make it themselves. And so, helping people become stewards of their own future. Thank you. That was a good question. We could spend all day.
Jason, thank you very much. I know you've spoken to the club before, so you know how we do this. As a thank you for your speaking today, we are going to present you with another copy of Historical Tales of Toledo, written by past President Clint Mock. I know you may have that on your coffee table at home, but it's also, I know there's a handful in the collection, but I bet there's some branches that could use another one. So we appreciate you being here. We're also going to make a donation in your name to the Polio Plus Fund with Rotary International in our efforts to eradicate polio across the world. So thank you very much. It's 1 o'clock right now. We almost made it. Join us next week, Monday, March 25th, when we are joined by FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Ryan Presley. We will be back in the main ballroom here at the Glass City Center for that program. And don't forget about our club's monthly happy hour, Thursday. We're going to be at Sean's Irish Tavern on Heather Downs for anyone who is interested. The folks at Reynolds Corners, we'd love to have you guys join us as well. We'll be starting at 4 o'clock. And there is one meeting this afternoon. The program committee meets. We are going to be in Jefferson A, which is just outside these doors in this same hallway where we're at. And with that, thank you so much for being here. Be good to each other. We are adjourned.